If you struggle with fear and self-doubt, group therapy may be the solution for you. Hi, I'm Mallory Grimste. I'm a teen therapist and I love making mental health videos. The teenage years can be really scary and confusing. It can make you aware of all sorts of things to feel self-conscious about, and it can be difficult to know if you're making the right decision or figuring out what's true or not. Now, before we get into how group therapy helps, I want to be clear on what fear and self-doubt are. They're not necessarily bad things. It can be really healthy to recognize and hone into your fear or your self-doubt. So, fear is the emotional experience of considering that something is potentially a high-risk situation where your safety could be in jeopardy. So if you're feeling fear, it's really important to check in and stay curious about it. Is it valid? Does it make sense? And are there other factors that you should be considering in making your decision? So for example, it is really risky to ask your crush out on a date because if they say no, that's really painful and hurtful. So does being afraid that your crush could say no if you ask them out mean that you should never ask them out? Probably not. Instead, that fear is probably telling you something that means that you need to consider what to do if in fact they do say no to help yourself feel better. For me, I love engaging in any sort of self-care activity, so treating myself to something like a warm cup of hot cocoa at the end of the day can be really helpful if I know going into it there's a high likelihood that I could have a stressful event. Plus, if things go well, I can use that hot cocoa to celebrate. Self-doubt is the idea of being uncertain or unsure if what you feel and experience as true is actually true or not. So part of alleviating self-doubt is getting really clear on what you value, what you feel, and what you're okay with. It's really linking up with your gut or your intuition. So fear and self-doubt are problems when they keep us from engaging in activities or in relationships or just doing things that we find enjoyable or things that we want to do to improve our life. So where does group therapy come into this? Well, there's 3 ways that group therapy can help you overcome fear and self-doubt. And the first is by offering exposure to experiencing your fear and self-doubt. Joining any sort of group can be a very unique and fear-inducing event. And that's because we're not always sure how to act in that group. We don't know what's normal and not normal for that group. And we also don't know how they're going to react to us. So by showing up and taking a little risk by exposing yourself to some of that fear in group can be really helpful when you have a good experience. Exposure therapy is actually one of the most effective ways of overcoming any sort of fear or anxiety. And that's because the more that we stop avoiding situations that are fear-inducing, the easier it is to manage those emotions in those situations. And if I'm being honest, my own belief is that all therapy is really exposure therapy. It's really exposure therapy to yourself, your experience, and your own feelings and emotions. And when you're doing that in a group therapy setting, not only are you getting that for yourself, you're also experiencing in vivo everyone else's perspective. So you're getting real-time feedback about taking a risk and being vulnerable to build trust and seeing how that's received by others, which is pretty cool. And that leads me to point number 2. And that is the idea of engaging and building connections with others. A key factor in any mental well-being is having a supportive community where you can connect with other people. We are social creatures. We are meant to connect and form relationships with others. And so group therapy is a place where you can practice those skills with other people who are going through similar situations or life experiences as you are. It is so powerful when you can open yourself up to form a new connection with somebody and find that you're not alone, that there are other people out there like you. It's always really cool when I see members of my teen girl therapy groups learn that they have more in common with each other than they originally thought. It's hard not to like someone when you let them see the real you and they connect with you. It offers a new opportunity for a new experience. And when you find yourself in new experiences or challenging situations, you get extra practice in honing into your intuition or your gut. And the more that you learn to hone in to what you like, what you value, what you desire, and how to communicate that with others in a healthy, effective way, the less likely you are to doubt yourself. If you still have questions about Teen Girl Therapy Group, watching the video on your screen right now could help. And if you happen to find this video helpful and useful, please be sure to share it. You never know who you could be helping. Thanks for watching!